Thank you. I rise today in strong support of H.R. 634, the Business Risk Mitigation and Price Stabilization Act of 2013. This bipartisan, common-sense piece of legislation is critical for commercial end users like farm credit companies and rural electric cooperatives to be able to use swaps to manage their long-term risks. Earlier this year, I introduced H.R. 2136, the Small Business Credit Availability Act, to address this very issue. And I'm pleased that my colleagues have put together this important legislation which addresses the concerns that I have with clearing and margin requirements for rural electric cooperatives. It's important to every family in my district to be able to count on reasonable and stable electric bills without unplanned price fluctuations. This bill ensures that the rural electric cooperatives in my district will be able to manage their long-term risk without the burden of costly clearing and margin requirements that would ultimately be passed on to my constituents. I want to especially thank the chairman and ranking member of both committees for including language ensuring that cooperatives that have clearing exemption are also excluded from costly margin requirements. Dodd-Frank never intended for end users like rural electric cooperatives and farm credit companies to be subject to clearing and margin requirements. Rural cooperatives in my district provide a great service at the lowest rates possible. Requiring these rural cooperatives to post margin on their swaps merely ties up working capital and will unnecessarily lead to higher electricity costs across the U.S. I was pleased to see that earlier this year the CFTC included many of these end users, like rural cooperatives, in their proposed rulemaking on the clearing exemption. I support this legislation's directive to close the loophole by granting margin exemptions to those same entities as well. Again, I support H.R. 634, and I urge my colleagues to vote for this legislation. And I yield back the remainder of my time.